Hilchis Toen V'Nitan, Perek Achadoser. Here the Rambam, from here on, Perek Achadoser, until the end of Hilchis Toen V'Nitan, the Rambam discusses the dinim of Cheskas Karkois. Now, until now, we learned the last three prakim, the dinim of Cheskas Metaltalin, and that is that if someone was a marikam in karka, so metaltalin. Generally, we say when a person has possession of metaltalin, we assume that it says chazaka kol masha takas yodad mishalei. When someone has possession in something, so the pashtus it says, and even if there's a marikama, even if we know that someone has a raya that he's the marikama, and he's timing that this item which finds itself in someone else's possession really belongs to him. Nevertheless, we say since Lepel, this person has possession of it, he's the machzik, so he is considered the muhzik, and the marikama, even though he was the marikama, nevertheless he's considered the moitzi, and hameitzi mechaveri olavarai. And there were a few exceptions. Dvarim huasuyim lahashel lahasker. If we know that there was a marikama, and he's tining that this item finds itself in someone else's possession because he lent it to him, or because he rented it to him, so in such a case, the din is that the marikama is still considered the muhzik, despite the fact that that person is right now machzik, but the real muhzik is the marikama. Al derech zeh, if the machzik is an uman, so again, so the fact that he has the item is not really an indication that it's his. So again, the marikama is still considered the muhzik if he tines that this item is in the rishus uman because he gave it to him to fix or to do something with it. And al derech zeh we learned benegei goydres. Goydres are things that move, behemoths that move, or if avodim even that moves. So again, so over there is ein lam chazaka, and therefore the marikama is still considered the muhzik. And the fact that the magzik, someone has it in his possession, sai by dvarim asuim lahashel lahasker, sai by anuman, and sai by goydres, so it goes to the marikama, it doesn't go to the magzik. So it's an exception to the general rule of cheskes metaltalin. Now this whole din is only by metaltalin. By karka it's different. By karka, if someone was a marikama in the karka, so until the person brings a raya that it's his, so it's always becheskas of the marikama. The marikama is always the muzik, even if someone else finds himself in the rishus of in the karka. That's the chiddush of cheskas karkois, that the marikama is always considered the muzik, unless the magzik has a cheskas shalashon. Unless the magzik has a cheskas shalashonim, so the marikama is still considered the muzik, and therefore the fact that someone is in this karka is not an indication that it's his. He doesn't become a muzik, and it always goes back to the marikama unless he brings a raya that it's his, the person that's there now, or he has cheskas shalashonim. Now in this Yiseda din, that karka, you become a muzik after gimel shonim, there is a dion, what's the havanas hadin? Is the pshat is that be'etzem karka l'churi should also be a muhzik. The pashas advarim should be a muhzik, because just like by metaltalin, if you have the item, so you're considered the muhzik. So l'churi in karka also, if you're sitting in a field, the churi should be the muhzik. The reason why you're not the muhzik is because by karka normally is transferred with a star, and therefore there's a taina to the person that's a muhzik. Where's your star? So the first 3 years there's a taina to him, where's his star, because lepeo, he should have had the star. Mashenkin, after 3 years, as we'll soon learn, that it's normal for a person to throw out the star if the original owner wasn't moicha. So therefore, there's no longer a taina to the machzik, ach v'shtorach, where's your star? And therefore, he becomes a muhzik. In other words, by karka, you'll say the reason why he's not a muhzik is because we ask him, where's your star? Mashenkin, once 3 years passes, and therefore there's no shaila, where's your star? So then he becomes a muhzik. So the gather of cheskes metaltalin, mekarka is similar to cheskes metaltalin. Just like metaltalin, when you have possession of it, you become the muhzik. By karka l'chur also, if you have possession of it, you also become the muhzik. The only thing is that normally by karka there's another problem, akvishtorach. Mashenkin, after 3 years, there's no longer akvishtorach. So then the cheskes karka is al derech like cheskes metaltalin. That's one way of understanding it. Another way of understanding it, that since karka be'etzem is not something which is movable, so the fact that you're sitting on the karka, that's not really a chazaka. That's not enough of a chazaka, the fact that you're sitting in the karka, to be moitzi from cheskes marikama. Masha'enkin, if the marikama was quiet for 3 years, so that the fact that he was quiet for 3 years and not moicha, that made him lose his cheskes marikama. Again, a person has a person's a marikama, and now this person is becoming a muhzik. So by regular metaltal, even though you are the marikama, but Label right now he's the muhzik. So Memela, so the Mugzik shaft makes him into a. There's the fact that he's in possession of the metaltal makes him into a Mugzik, and Memela the Marikama loses his Mugzik shaft. That's the pastus of Cheskes metaltal. By Cheskes Karka, we're saying it would belong to someone, and now someone else is in this field, and we're saying that he's not the Mugzik. The Mugzik is still the Marikama. Why? So either you say L'chura, since he's sitting in the field, so L'chura, he should also be the Mugzik, just like when a person has metaltal, he should also be the Mugzik. And the reason why the Magzik is not a Mugzik, because you say Tim Ak Vishtarach, where's Yishtar? So the Yisod of the Dvarim that a Magzik by Karka is not a Mugzik is because we say Ak Vishtarach. Once 3 years passes, and therefore we don't say there's no time to him Ak Vishtarach, so then he becomes a Mugzik. Al Derek, like Metalton becomes a Mugzik. In other words, that Chesron is no longer there. That's one way of learning it. Another way of learning it is that by Karka, the fact that you're sitting in the field doesn't really make you into a Mugzik. Sitting in the field is not enough to make you into a Mugzik, because Lepel, when you have possession of the metaltal, and the metaltal is no longer by the Marikama, it's by you. So that we say the Marikama lost his Mugzik shop. Masha'ink in Karka is not a movable item, so the fact that you're sitting in the Karka doesn't take away the Mugzik shaft of the Marikama. Elamai, so why Taka after 3 years does it take it away? Because Lepel, since on the Marikama there's a taina, why weren't you Meicha? Why weren't you Meicha during those 3 years? So the fact that he wasn't Meicha makes him lose the Mugzik shaft of his Marikama, being a Marikama, and Memela, so now the Magzik becomes a Mugzik. A Magzik can become a Mugzik to be Meitzi from Cheskes Marikama, but the fact that he wasn't Meicha for the last 3 years, so that loses his Mugzik shaft of being a Marikama, and Memela, through that, the Magzik could become a Mugzik. That's the two ways the Ktsos discusses it in the beginning of Siman Kuf Mem. But the Maisa is in the Rambam, it's not so clear. We learned the Rambam, it's not 100% clear what's the Havanas Hadvar. Perik Achadoser. Kol HaKarkois HaYeduis L'Baleim Aval Pi Shehin Ato Tachas Yedei Acherim is a Reize B'Chaskes Baleim. That's this din, that if someone is a known owner of a certain field, he is the Marikam of the field. So even though someone else is right now in that field, it's still B'Cheskas, the B'Cheskas of the original owner. It's still B'Cheskas Marikam. Ketzad Ruven Shein Mishtamish B'Chotzer Kederek She'om Mishtamish B'Chatzisein. So how do we know that Reuven was the original owner? Because Reuven was mishtamish b'chotzer, like people are mishtamish in their own chotzer. Darba v'seicher lacherim ubeina v'seisim. So that was the mitzias of Reuven. Now, b'achar zman, bo Shimon v'to'an olav v'amar lei, that chotzer zu shetachas yotcha is really shaliri, u'schuri b'yotcha, e she'ula egzula. So that someone comes in tinus to someone that's sitting in a field, he tinus that this field that you're sitting in, that you're using, and acting as if it's your field, you should know it's really my field, and it's only rented to you, or you stole it from me. Now vehishive Reuven, and Reuven responds to this tayin, shelachohoisa, it was taka yours, abavata macharteli, and satali matana, and you gave it to me as a matana. So b'kitzer, there's someone sitting in a field, he's acting in the field as if it's his, and lepel, someone comes and tainas that it's really the other person's, and the person that's sitting in the field says it was taka yours, but lepel, you sold it to me, or you gave it to me, so now it's mine. Is I say, im ein edim l'shimon, shehoysi yadolei, if the person that's the toyin, person that's tining is his field, doesn't really have edim, that it was ever his field, is nishba Reuven hesses v'yamid n'kemis. So in other words, the person has no taina against this machzik. The person that's tining was his doesn't really have a taina, he has a taina. But lepel, the other person could have said, lehoya dvar me'elam, and Memela, once he could have said Lehoya Dvar Me'elam, so he's in the position to say it was yours and I bought it. He has a migo. He could have said Lahadam. Avol Memela is Nishbar Reuven Hesses v'Yamid n'Kevel. Lepel, he's tining against this karka. So Memela has to swear Shvos Hesses. Avol Mehevi Shimon Edim. Shachotz Azu Shaloi Hoyso. Shimon comes with Edim that this karka was taka his, and he's tining that the karka still is, despite the fact that this person is sitting in the karka. So the din is harei b'cheska Shimon. It's still b'cheska Shimon. So even though this other person is using the karka, it's still b'cheska Shimon, which is the marikama. Ve'emrim l'Reuven havi raya shemachar l'cha le'naslucha. You have to prove that you bought it or that he gave it to you. Ve'em le'hevi raya. And if this person that's sitting now in the field doesn't have a raya, so then misal k'nesim imenu u'machzir nesim l'Shimon. Aval Pisha Ein Reuven made the Shimon Shioisa Shalesh Ariyash Ein Shimon. It's not negaya the fact that Reuven is made that it belonged to Shimon or not. Shimon has Edom that it was his, so he is the Marikama. Reuven doesn't have any raya that he bought it. Doesn't have any raya that he bought it. So Mela, it goes back to the Marikama, even though Reuven has been using this karka for a while and acting as if it's his. Now, by Medvar Mamurim Shematzrichim Reuven Lahavi Raya Eyistalik. When do we say that Reuven doesn't become the muhzik, and therefore Shimon is still the muhzik in this field, and Reuven is the moitzi, even though he's sitting in the field? When do we say that? That's only b'shloi nishtamish b'zman meruba. He wasn't using it for a zman meruba. Avalim hevi edim. But if Reuven, which is sitting in this field, brings edim, sha'achal peiras karkazu shalosh shanim resufis, v'nana bekula kiderek shenanim kolodim be'isek karka. He brings raya that he was been using this karka for 3 consecutive years, and he was being nana from the entire karka, like people are nana from a karka that they own. And v'hu sheyeh efshel abaylim risheim sheyedim b'zeh sheyechziku. So in other words, he brings a raya that he's been in this karka for the last 3 years. And also, it was possible for the Bailim to make a macha, to be moicha on this chazaka. And v'lei michuba. So there's 2 in Yonah. First of all, he was been there for 3 years. And the Bailim were in a position that they could have been meicha lepel, they weren't meicha. So the din is mamid ne'esib yad Reuven. So we say that Reuven becomes the muhzik, and v'yishaver Reuven hesel shemachra le'shimon in nos levi potter. And now Reuven becomes the muhzik. Elamai Shimon is stating that it's his. So Shimon is the moitzi. Shimon the Marikama is the moitzi. And now Reuven, being the muhzik, has to swear. Shuas has to Shimon. Just like any person that comes with a taina to someone that owns something, and taina that item is his. So we say to Shimon, Im emes atatein, shlei macharte v'lina sato, is lama hayazem mishtamish shana chashana b'karka echa, ve'en lecha olav l'ishtar schirus, no, you have no proof that it's still yours. You let this person sit in this field for 3 years, and lepel, you have no proof that it's yours. There's no shtar that's saying that he went down there to schiros or to mashkin, that you should have a raya to take away his chazaka. You don't have a raya, and you also were in mecha. So the fact that you were in mecha and that you have no raya causes you to lose your marikam. That would be l'chura the pashtus advar, what the Rambam is saying. That since the person wasn't mecha, so therefore he loses his claim that's a reyesa in his cheskas marikama. Once that's a reyesa in the cheskas marikama, so that enables that the magzu should become a muzik. That's the now Toen V'Omer, if this marikama tainas that the reason why he wasn't mecha is b'pnei sheli higia lai hadover sharei hayisi b'mdina recheka. The reason why I wasn't mecha is because I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware that this person is sitting in my field. I was far away. It's impossible that in 3 years you weren't aware of it. Once you became aware that he's sitting in your field, is you should have been moicha in front of Adam and said that this plainly gazelesi. And that's together in Machod, that plainly gazl lahu, like the Rambam the Taichois, and lemachred v'anu bedin. And lepeil hail v'lei machisa is the riba atev sadat alasmacha. So in other words, you lost your muhzik shaft. You're a marikama, you attack a marikama, you have Eden, you are the marikama. The pashtus of marikama would be a muhzik, but since this person was sitting in this field for 3 years and you weren't mecha, so you lost your muhzik shaft. And that enabled that person to become a mecha. Lefichach, since the reason why we're saying that he has to be that he loses his muhzik shaf is because we have a taina why wasn't he mecha, and we say that he certainly knew about it. Lefichach, ma'asim b'chama v'shibush drachim bin hamakim shoyi b'Reuven bin hamakim shoyi b'Shimon. The pill, if there was some milchama between these 2 places, is afila akla Reuven esim shana. Even if Reuven has been there for 20 years. Is mitzian esim tachas yodei v'chizeres l'Shimon. Why? So if Shimon tainas that I didn't know that Reuven was being mishtamish b'karkoi, so Shimon still remains the muhzik. He becomes the muhzik. He didn't lose his muhzik shaft, and therefore Reuven, the fact that he's sitting in the karka doesn't make him into a machzik. You can't be a machzik in somebody that person is still a muhzik in, and therefore Reuven is the meitzi and he has to bring the right. So Reuven leaves the field. Now heavy Reuven edim. So Yeshimon bo b'chol shana v'shana ve'emed b'mkeim zeh shleishim yemi pachas. Reuven brought Adam that Shimon is saying, I didn't know about it. But Lepel is bringing a right that Shimon, even though Lepel, there seemed to be a melchama between the two places, but they weren't able to really have major communication, Shibush Adrachim. But Lepel, Shimon used to come here every year, and he was in this area for 30 days, Epachas. He was here for 30 days. Is Amram L'Shimon, Mipnei Mali Mechisa Kshabasa, why weren't you Mecha when you came? Avadatus Chuscha. So you Pel, when you came, you lost your schus. In other words, you're tiny that you're still the Marikama, and you're the Mugzik. In other words, you are the Marikama, but you're still the Mugzik. Lepel, you were here for 30 days during the 3 years. During the 3 years, you would come for every year for 30 days. And why weren't you Mecha? Now, Toen Shimon V'Omer, the Marikama Tainus, Torah the Yisi B'Shuk. I was very busy. I came Taka. But I wasn't aware that he was B'tei Chatzeri. Even though he was in this area, it's hard to understand a little bit. We're saying, normally we say that a person even Makom Rachik should know about it. But Lepel, we say that if there was a Shibush Drachim, there's an excuse for not knowing it Makom Rachik. Now we're saying, even though there's a Shibush Drachim, and there's a Melchama, and there's an excuse for not knowing about it, but Lepel, he came here, and he was here for 30 days. So nevertheless, we say to him, where were you? And he could taina, the reason why weren't you mecha? He's taining, I wasn't mecha because I didn't have a chance to find out about it. It's a little hard to understand. Torah Shimon V'Omer, Torah the Isi B'Shuk, V'leyodaiti, Shezeh B'tei Chatzeri. So that's a taina. Again, Shimon has to taina that taina. Normally we say that if Shimon was away, so Memela, Shimon is still the Marikam. Now Lepel, if Reuven taina is that Shimon used to come here, so L'chura Shimon loses his Marikam Shaft. However, if Shimon Tainas, the reason why I wasn't Mecha is because it was a Taina, is because Torah the Yisi B'Shuk, I wasn't aware of it. So we say Areza Taina. Shekol Shleishim Yem Yodin Torah B'Shuk. It's possible for a person to be Torah B'Shuk for 30 days, Ad Kedei Kach, that he shouldn't be aware what's going on b'Chatzeri. If Ahmad Yesim Shleishim Yem V'lei Micha, but Lepel, if he was there more than 30 days, so then is Ovetz Chus. So this did. And normally we say that we have a taina to the Marikama, why weren't you Mecha? And therefore the Marikama loses his Mugzik Shaft, and the Magzik becomes the Mugzik. If there was a Shibush Drachim, Milchama, so then he has an excuse for not being Mecha because he wasn't aware of it, so then he doesn't lose his Marikama Shaft. If Lepel, the Magzik, the person that has possession of a taina that he used to come here, if he would come here, so he's tiny that he lost his Mugzik Shaft. But Lepel, if the original Marikama Tainas that I was a Torah B'Shuk, so if he was a Torah B'Shuk and it was only 30 days, it wasn't more than 30 days, so then that's a Taina, and there, of course, for 30 days a person can be Torah B'Shuk, and therefore the Marikama still remains the Musik. That's this din. Now, V'yirah the Ram adds, Shadin Za'inel B'Kfarim, this Musik that the Marikama it was a Torah B'Shuk, and therefore he wasn't even aware of it, that's only B'Kfarim. Sha'am Trudim B'Shvakim Shalom. But vice is in the Ayoris, not in the Kfarim, where people aren't so Torah B'Shuk, so that's not a Taina. So therefore, there's a Taina to the Marikama, why weren't you Mecha? And his answer that I was Torah B'Shuk is not a proper response. So therefore, again, so it's the regular din of Cheskes Shaloshonim, and Lepel, he was there for 3 years, and Lepel, he wasn't Mecha, and we assume he knew about it, and therefore he loses his rights to take it back. That's this din. So basically, the way the Rambam Shtelter is, the din is that Lepel, in order for him to become a murzik, it has to be that the Marikama, we have a taina to the Marikama, why weren't you Mecha? Halacha Dalet. Now, Mipnei Ma Einamrim L'Reuven, Im Emes Hu Adover, Shemocher L'Choi Nosen L'Chav Matana, is Loma L'Nisarta B'Shtar Sh'L'Cha. Now we're going back, we're saying like this. Eino Chinami, we have a taina to the Marikama. How you talking? That you are in Mecha, so L'Churi, you're losing your Mugzik Shaft. But L'Churi, there's a taina also to the Magzik. Where's your star? Where's your star? Where's your star? You should have the star. If you don't have a star, so that's like a reis in your Mugzik Shaft, and therefore it should go back to the Marikama. That's what we're saying. Is lama l'nizarta b'shtar shalacha. On that, the answer is Mneishein Adam Nizar B'Shtari. V'helech Kol Yomov. He doesn't keep holding the star. V'chazak she'ein Adam Nizar B'Shtari ela at Sholishon. A person normally only holds a star for 3 years if there was no macha. If nobody's making a macha and he has a star and he's been there already for 3 years, shuv eini nizar. So we see that the Ram is working the way the Ram is telling is the l'chura. At first, the yisod advarim is that the Marikama wasn't mecha, and that enables the magzik to become a muzik. But on the other end, there's a taina to the magzik, hayitachem, where's your star? L'churi, how could you become a muzik? Where's your star? The answer is, I have an excuse for not having a star. Now, halacha hey, harei shemicha Shimon b'medina recheka, mipnei ma liyitin Ruven v'yemer le shamaiti shemicha bi kidei sheizor b'shtori. Now, why can't Shimon taina, Ruven taina, Reuven's taina, I wasn't aware of this macha. In other words, I have an excuse for not having a star. I wasn't aware of the macha. Now over here, this halacha, this is shtickle shayla pshat, because l'chura the way the Rambam shteled the din was that the yisod is mipnei shalei micha, and the fact that he doesn't have a star is only we have a taina to him einachinami he was lei micha, but on the other end, where's your star? So the yisod that dvarim is lei micha, and then we go to where's your star. Mashenkin over here, l'chura, even if we'll say that he has an excuse for not having a star, but if we don't have a shalei micha, we don't have the yisayid of the chazaka. So what's the shayla of the Ram? That would be the shayla of it. The Yonah we spoke before. What's the yisayid advarim of chazaka? The chura the Ram tells the yisayid advarim is that the lei micha that makes it him uis marikam mugzik. The marikam becomes uis mugzik k'mdei shalei micha, and that enables the person that bought it to become a mugzik. L'chura we have a taina on the person that bought it to become a mugzik. Where's your star? The answer is I have an excuse for having a star. But if Lepeli has an excuse for having a star, but we don't have the Shalei Micha, so L'chura, what's the time of the Rambam? So Vice says you have to say that since Lepel, just like we have, there's Takonis al-Kuches, that the Rambam paskins Shibudi deraisa, but nevertheless, so Be'emes, a person has a Shibud on the Lekuches. But if the Lekuches bought something and he has an excuse for buying it, because Lepel, he wasn't aware of the Shibud, so we're helping out the Lekech. We help out the Lekech that he should be Machzik B'Karkoi. Even though Be'emes there's a Shibud, even by a Milval Peh. So Aldera is over here, L'chura. The Rambam is also asking that L'chura, since he bought it, and he's telling that he has an excuse for not having the star, so L'chura, we should help out the Lekech and say, listen, he bought it, and he has an excuse for not having the star, so Mela, how are we taking it away from him? L'chura, maybe that's the pshat. Halacha Nachbal, Harei Shemicha Shimon b'Medina Recheka, im mipnei ma leyitin Ruven v'yemer leishamaiti shemicha bi, kedei sheizor b'shtori. I have an excuse for not having my star. Mipnei she'emrim lei, chavrach yesh li chover, v'chachover yesh li chover acher, v'chazoka she'igia elecha hador. We're not mekabel his taina. We don't believe his taina that Hitaka wasn't aware that that person was mecha. V'kivin she'adaita shemicha b'cha b'teich shol l'sham, im emes hoyel l'chashtar v'lin nisharta bei atev savta alatzmucha. In other words, if it's true what you're saying, that if you threw out the star, you had a star, you are hifsadet alatzmucha, because regularly a person should have been aware that that person was mecha. Lefichach. So therefore, the only reason why we take it away from Reuven, from the Mavzik, is because we assume that he didn't have a star, because if he would have had a star, he should have kept it. Lefichach im micha Shimon b'fnei ho'idim. Shimon was mecha b'fnei ho'idim. V'amalem al tetzil davar zeh mipicha. Mipicha. In other words, don't tell anybody. I'm being moicha, but don't tell anybody. It's ein zu macha. Why is it ein zu macha? The pashas advarim, not because it's a chsar in the macha, because lepel then the mavzik has an excuse for not having the star because he wasn't aware of the macha. That's l'chura the ishtal of the dvarim. Normally you could say it's not a macha because that's not a real macha. A real macha is when you're making in a way that that person should know about it. Masha'inkin, if you're making in a way that that person shouldn't know about it, so it's not a proper macha. But the way this is telling you is the halach over here, it comes out that he was meicha. But on the other end, l'chura, he has an excuse for not having a star. So now we say, no, he doesn't have an excuse for not having a star. Masha'inkin, if when he was meicha, he said, al titzil machazem mipicham, so then he does have an excuse for not having a star. If he has an excuse for not having a star, so then he keeps it. That's what I'm just saying, the way the Rambam tells is the halacha l'chura. Lefichach, im micha Shimon b'fnei edim, v'amalem, al titzil davar zeh mipicham, en zo ha'acha. They just said "En adover yetz mipino" is harei gam zumacha shedover she'ein adam mitzuva olav ein rishlei b'kavana. So again, he taka made a macha. That's for sure he made a macha. On the other hand, the Edom said they're not going to be megalit. So the chura now, the person that's the mavzik right now, Reuven has an excuse. He says the Edom said they're not going to be megalit. So the answer is yeah, the Edom taka said they're not going to be megalit. But since he never told them not to be megalit, so presumably they were megalit. That's l'chura what the Rambam is saying. Shedavar she'inad mitzuva olav ein rishlei b'kavan. They'll say it. V'chein tzivu le'edim v'amalem alti didu hu. Esha amru heimi atzmim einon u'midin esei. Will tell people, but not the person himself, is gam zumachoi she'aval b'sha'ein u'midin esei. Even though they're not going to actually tell the person that's the machzik about the machor that the Marakama made, but nevertheless, medium heim lachedim and memela v'adover yagia elav. So therefore, that's the Yisei Advarim. The Yisei Advarim is that normally by karka it always it's becheskas Marakama, unless he was there for 3 years. If he was there for 3 years, we have tinus. Why wasn't the Marakama mecha? Why doesn't the machzik have a star? The answer is because after 3 years without a machor, we can assume that he threw out the star. Halacha zayin. Keitzad hamachor. How does a machor work? Omer b'fnei shnayim pleini shehu mishtamish b'chatzeri a besodi is gazlu. The be'emes he's a gazlu. U'la'osid ani tivei eisabedin. That's the lashon hamachor. That's the yisei hamachor. The Rambam said before earlier b'kitzur that pleini gazlu, and right now I don't have any time or whatever to be tiveim lidin teira, but eventually I'll be tiveim lidin. V'cheinim amalem schurihi biyodei imashkena. He's not a gazni. He's a socher. He's a tzamashkin. V'im yitin alaysha macharti and asati. And if he's going to taina that his nasati macharti is anitivei esebedin, v'chein kol kiyetz b'zeh is also arizu b'cho. Afal pishali micha b'medina zu shehirzu b'zeh. Even though the machor wasn't in the same place where the chazaka took place, as we said before, because lepel this person chavri and we assume that this machor will come to the other person. Avalim amalem pleini shemishtamish b'chatzeri gaznu. He didn't say that he's a gazlan because he's being a gazlan on this chutzner. He's just saying pleini shemishtamish b'chatzeri gaznu enzu machor. He's speaking against me. He's speaking against my character. But he's not speaking about the fact that I'm in the field. Because I didn't realize that he's being meicha about my being in the field. I thought he was just talking about me. So that's not really called a proper machor. Then the Rambam said, halacha ches, machor b'fnei shnayim. Machor has to be, when a person makes a machor, in order for the machor to be considered a machor, has to be done in front of 2 edim. And they write the machor, they write that this person was moicha, and they give the marikama, the star, which says that he was moicha. Aval pishul yomalem ksevu. But lepel, they write the star, and they give the marikama, the star, to say that he has a raya, that he was moicha. Now, v'kivin shemicha b'shana rishena, once the marikama was moicha b'shana rishena, ain't it tzarech lazer v'limchis b'chol shana v'shana. He doesn't have to go ahead every year to be moicha. Between one machor and the next machor, there shouldn't be 3 full years. At the end of every 3 years, there's his meicha, and before there's at the end of 3 years, before there's 3 years of without a machor, he should be meicha. The micha, the pale, he made a machor, and this magzik was in the karka of a shalish shanim gmuris. And then he was meicha again as a niklum. Halacha tes. Hevi Ruvin Edim shezeh Shimon balasode kibetz peida zuv v'nosnuli. He doesn't have a cheska sholish shanim. He just has a raya. He brings Edim that Shimon, which is the original owner of this field, he helped him gather the peiros. He gathered from the peiros. So again, Tami dasode b'yad Ruvin. So that in itself makes Ruvin into a mugzik. The afilu toan sheshimon machrele inosnuli hayem. He sold the tainas that he sold it to him today, and l'chura he doesn't have a star. So the shaila is, where's your star? Nevertheless, Eitaki doesn't have a star, but on the other hand, since there's a Shimon, since he has a raya that Shimon helped him gather the peiros, that's enough of a chacha that it's his field, and to his sense that he becomes a mukzik. If he wouldn't have sold it to him, why is Shimon helping Reuven gather the peiros? The fact that Shimon is helping Reuven gather the peiros is a raya that Shimon sold it. Now, Toan Shimon v'Omer emes hayadover. It's true what you're saying happened. Ula peiros iradativ. So the emes is my field, and I helped him gather the peiros because I gave him the right to use the peiros. I sold him the peiros of the field. Ula peiros iradativ. I only brought him there in order for him to eat the peiros, but the field is still mine. V'shalei hayu peiros. Aval aguf le'macharti. The raya that he's bringing is a true raya, but it's not a raya that I sold it. I'm timing that ula peiros iradativ is Naman, and then the Chizeres l'Shimon, Elim Kain, Achla Reuven, fun of Shalosh Shonim, V'lei Micha be'Kamisha B'Yarna. So if he was there for 3 years, and the original owner, Shimon, wasn't Meicha, so then he can't have a tiny Leperis Iradativ. He should have been Meicha. Masha'enkin, if his whole raya was only that Shimon helped him out with the Peiris, so if Shimon doesn't have a tiny Leperis Iradativ, so Reuven is considered a Mugzik, and Mamela Hitaki keeps the field. Masha'enkin, if Shimon tiny is Leperis Iradativ, so then he doesn't become a Mugzik with such a raya, with this raya that Shimon helped him out with the Peiris, and therefore the field goes back to the original owner, which is Shimon.